Hi Neil, how are you?
Good, good, Peter. How are you?
Neil, I am absolutely brilliant. Thanks for asking. Neil, thanks very much for taking the time to chat with me today. Welcome to the NI Business Podcast. Could we start? Could you tell me a little about yourself, your background, and your business, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Neil Bradley. I'm the founder of KitchenOS. So KitchenOS, we develop software. This is the pitch bit. We develop software and IoT solutions to address the challenges in professional kitchens. So essentially, we try to make chefs and kitchens operate more efficiently, cut their costs, and help them make more money. Yeah, so my background is before I got into tech, with the tech company, I was a chef and restaurant owner. As I call, I'm a recovering chef and restaurant owner. So I spent almost 30 years in kitchens from when I was 16. That's all I wanted to do. So that's where I started from, and then that has progressed. So I ended up working through every sort of kitchen, ended up in my own restaurants, and then I'm now I'm now running a tech company.
And when did you make the move away from the stove? I'm probably going to get this terminology wrong, but when did you move away from the stove and to the laptop, so to speak?
Um, I think whenever my kind of second my second restaurants. So yeah, so and at that stage I was essentially just looking for solutions to help me run my kitchens and my restaurants, particularly on the digital side to try to make things a bit better and more efficient. Like I know we were one of the first companies that I knew of to put an iPad-based POS systems into our business.
Mhm.
Um, so we all in that line said, well, what else can I do to help me, run my restaurants? And when we looked in the market, there was nothing really there, and well, what was there was generally was pretty bad and really expensive, especially for what we were like a small kind of mid-sized restaurant or a small restaurant with a few staff. So we just couldn't afford it, and then we said, okay, how do we build our own? So we started building our own systems, especially around the whole food safety compliance part of it, and that just ended up just becoming the business. We ended up people said actually can we have that too, and that just became the business.
And did you ever envisage whenever you started training as a 16-year-old that you'd end up in this type of position?
No, no, it was the furthest thing from my mind. Like I always love, technology, and I like technology, but yeah, I never thought I'd end up running a tech company. Certainly not. I thought be restaurants and chefs and kitchens, but no, this was not in the plans.
So help me understand your target market. So I understand it's geared towards the hospitality, kitchens, etc. But is there a sweet spot? You know, what type of people do you enjoy working with the most, and who benefits most from working with you in KitchenOS?
It's certainly probably our main customer base now is probably the independent restaurants, the small chains, and the hotels, and the independent hotels that'll we're always working on scaling that side up. But certainly that's who we find to be our ideal customer. It's who we enjoy working with. Like I said, I'm not in kitchens anymore, but I'm probably still in kitchens a lot. Just in talking to chefs, and they're most of our. Oh yeah, and very much because of my background, obviously, it's very much geared towards what they do. We understand what they do. We know the challenges they face. I know personally the challenges because I've been through them as a chef and a restaurant owner, so I know generally what they're facing. So that makes it easier for us, certainly for me to talk to them. Said I understand chefs, as I always say, chefs are assholes, but that's okay. I'm one too, so I understand. so, so when you kind of understand that part, it makes it easier to talk to them.
And whenever you reflect back, so when did KitchenOS launch? When was that, Neil?
So we started probably around 2016 was when the very first start. So we started off with our first product, and still is our main product, which was Food Safe System, which is our food safety compliance platform. That's what we built. One of my restaurants is what we built first, and that's what we were only ever really going to build. But we I suppose where KitchenOS kind of came in is that we wanted to build, we also wanted to be like a one-stop shop, partner with other companies so we can offer people, we're not just one solution. This is everything you need to help you in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Obviously, we never intend to, and still don't intend to build everything. Because that would just be insane. But we wanted to partner with like-minded companies, and that's where KitchenOS came from. And that was just through talking through our customers and chefs and kitchens, and they're coming to us and said, actually, we have this problem. Can you do this? And we'd go out look for look see if we could find solutions for that. When that didn't happen, we ended up building another system. So that became food label system. Um, and again, that can happen again with our F waste is called. Waste is our food waste product food waste platform that
Mhm.
we're developing. So all that sort of came about. It said actually we're not just one product anymore. We're now a suite of solutions for kitchens, and that's how the KitchenOS came about.
And if you look back over the, what, 9 years or so of KitchenOS, what would you say has been your biggest lesson as a business owner?
It's yeah. There's been KitchenOS is has been very was such a huge change from what I was used to in kitchens to go through a tech company. I think one thing, the biggest challenge I had was time. In a kitchen, in a restaurant, when something needs done, it needs done now. Nobody's waiting for their food. They don't want it next week. They don't want it tomorrow. It won't wait 3 weeks. It needs to be done right now, this minute. If I didn't want it now, I wouldn't ask for it now. And that was how I always worked, and that's how I expected to work, and that never changed. When you go to a tech company, it becomes, yeah, I need this. Hurry, yeah, that'll be 3 weeks. I'm going like, no, that's not that's not a hurry. That's 3 weeks away. So that was a whole different mindset from moving from hospitality to that company. Like I remember the very first time we were building the first version of Food Safe. So we say, oh, it'll take us, 10 days work. I said, oh, that's okay. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. He goes, oh, no, we'll give you 1 week next week, 1 day next week, 2 days the week after, half day the week after. I'm like, how does that work? What do you mean?
It's a great analogy between tech and kitchen. I can't imagine, somebody turning around and saying, "Yeah, that'll be 3 weeks, chef." And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. What about yourself, Neil? What have you learned about yourself along the way?
Um, Again, I had this so much out of my comfort zone, from where I was, because my originally I was in a kitchen behind closed doors. I could shout and curse as much as I wanted to, and that was the whole part. And then all of a sudden, I had to go out to the front side of it, and it was just like a whole different journey from where I was to where I had to be. Like even
Hmm.
from pitching the business and doing startup and pitching competitions, which I still hate doing. Still not very good at it, but it's just so much. It was so different what I was used to and what I was doing that I all of a sudden
Hmm.
had to become, again, on the sales side of things, I had to get used to that. I had to deal with other developers and yeah, and that's the whole new world of yeah, that part of it. But a way I looked at that was when people come to me and said, I want to open a restaurant, or should I open a restaurant, or advice to open a restaurant. I always said, unless you are a chef and you are a manager, or you have a good experience at it, just don't do it, because it's just a nightmare. You're just going to be at the mercy of so many other people. And then I did pretty much the exact same thing on the other side, going to tech company with no tech background, as at the mercy of other people. So that was a huge learning curve on that. I obviously made huge and expensive mistakes, but we've learned very much from that part of it. That
And
now I
who's
just
influenced you along the way, Neil? Whether it be from in the kitchen days to the tech days, or both, who's influenced you along the way?
kitchen wise, there's probably a few chefs that I work with who really, certainly one of the first chefs I worked with in Ostrava was a guy called Patrick McKeown, who just moved over to Ostrava from New York, and his food was amazing. I had never seen it, and it just really gave me the push to really want to do that. So I started in his kitchen when I was like 17. Um, and it was just blew me away. And it was just a tiny little kitchen. There was just two of us in the kitchen, but the food was just so amazing. And that really set me up for wanting, and that pushed me for a lot more on kitchen wise and on restaurant wise, where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And that's, I knew what I wanted to do in that part of it. So definitely working with Patrick really pushed me at that side. And then other chefs over the years, Aidan Byrne I work with, who's pretty famous over in England, and Great British Menu won a few of those and stuff, and his own Michelin. I think he's the youngest ever chef to get a Michelin star. He was his work ethic is second to none. Tech wise, probably not. I've probably learned more mistakes from my own mistakes than people influence. But yeah,
And what gets you out of bed in the morning and drives your passion for your business?
I the point now where I see so much potential in what we're doing. I've seen so much opportunity in what we're doing, not only just as a business, but also as a way to actually, we can make things easier for restaurants. And I know that sounds a bit shitty and a bit cliched, but I have such huge respect for anybody who still runs a restaurant, because it's so tough out there. It is such a hard job, and the people go, and if you can do it and do it successfully, because I've done it not very successfully, varying degrees of success and failure. But you can do that and make money, and it's just, I have so much respect, and also if you do want to do that, I think if you do want to get into that restaurant trade, you deserve the help, you deserve the opportunity to do that, and that's what we want to give them, and that's what we want to do.
And what about, let's take you away from tech, away from kitchens, and stick you on a desert island in the unlikely event. If you could be on a desert island and either read a book, listen to a podcast, or both, what would you go for?
Um, Podcasts. I've struggled to get into podcasts. Even books was probably, as I said, well, when I'm not working, like I do enjoy working, I do enjoy like the software development side. I've actually, thanks to AI, I've kind of using that part of it. I'm now looking at that side of it. But outside of that, it's pretty much just music. I just turn on kind of, I said I'm a Gen X, so I'm all kind of Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses and Black Crowes and Metallica, and that's what kind of gets me through the day when I need to switch off. That's what I do.
What would you say? What's the biggest challenge that you're currently facing in your business?
It's probably like everybody else, just trying to grow and grow sustainably, and make sure that the resources are there and that people are there to do that, but also make sure we look after the people, because I know, well, there's a lot of people that have helped me, not only in the last career as a chef, but also in this one, who have really, I know we wouldn't be here without them, and to really to make that kind of work for them as much as for everybody else. That, to me, that's the challenge, and that's the opportunity, and that's what we want to achieve on that side of it.
And what if you could invite any three people to a dinner party, who would you have there?
Um, Trying to think, who probably be again, probably on the influence side of things, and that would have been my late father. Obviously that's one. Who else was it? What I back to the old kind of music things. I think Dave Grohl now, who's like the god of rock and roll, and the Foo Fighters and Nirvana, and that's and he's just still doing so. I think he'd just be awesome. Um, and probably comedians. I think out of all the comedians, the one that kind of really, probably Frankie Boyle. I think he is just so funny and so intelligent, and I think that would definitely be a night to remember.
At
Yeah.
least there'd be no political correctness.
No,
That's
no,
for
no,
sure.
no. We've always got, yeah. I think, yeah.
And what about if you could go back in time and give some advice out to you, the 18-year-old Neil? What would that sound like?
Travel. Just don't worry about anything. Just travel. That's probably one thing I didn't do enough of. I'm trying to make that up now with my own kids and stuff. But certainly just get a passport and just get on a plane, and you'll get somewhere. Especially if you're going to be, a chef, definitely just get a passport and just go travel, go to France, Spain, wherever, it doesn't matter. You're gonna, and experience that part of it. That's definitely buy Bitcoin.
Amazon shares and Bitcoin.
Amazon and buy Bitcoin when it was 10p a Bitcoin.
And what about, instead of looking back, Neil, let's look forward. So 5 years down the line, so what's that, 2030? What does KitchenOS look like then?
I definitely want it to be. I fully intend KitchenOS to be the tech company for kitchens, to be the default tech company for professional kitchens and chefs. That's what I think. That's where I believe we will be. That's where we're working towards. I think we have better understanding and better ideas of what is needed and what is possible, and that's what we're working towards. I think that was one part whenever I started a tech company, and because there was kind of two parts to what was available. Then there was the tech people who built things for kitchens who'd never been in the kitchen, who didn't understand how kitchens worked, which means their stuff didn't really work that well. And then you have the other people from restaurants and chefs who didn't understand tech, who didn't know how to do that part of it, so it didn't really work either. There was never that crossover. I think that's where we kind of fit in. We suddenly became that crossover. We've been in kitchens, we know what's happening, and now we know a bit of tech, and we better understand it. So we did kind of fill that in, and that's what we see KitchenOS as.
Good stuff. And if somebody likes what they've heard, Neil, and would like to reach out, get in touch with you, or get in touch with a business, what's the best way for them to go about that?
Yeah, I suppose email, like everything else, Neil at foodsafesystem.com is well, you always get me there. LinkedIn's pretty good. I'm still down as Chef Neil Bradley. So you search Chef Neil Bradley, hopefully I'll come up.
Very good. I thought it was Chief. No, now it's all made sense. Very good. Oh, brilliant. Look, Neil Bradley from KitchenOS, thanks very much for taking the time to chat with me today. Really cool story, and sounds like an exciting future ahead for you in the business. So thanks again, and I wish you every success for the future, Neil. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Peter. Yeah. Thanks for the time, and thanks for the chat.